Berlin is in turmoil. Chancellor Olaf Scholz, grappling with the fallout of a seismic shift in Washington, has called for a state of emergency in Germany and Europe, citing the war in Ukraine and its dire consequences for European security. His demand follows US President Donald Trump's bombshell decision to bypass European leaders and negotiate directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, an announcement that has sent shockwaves through Germany's political establishment. Scholz, in an urgent statement to the press, insisted that the Bundestag must classify the Ukraine war as a state of emergency under Article 115, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution. His argument, Germany's support for Kyiv must no longer come at the expense of domestic responsibilities. This is about the peace and security of our country, he declared. Given the statements from representatives of the US administration over the past 24 hours, the response to this issue can no longer be postponed. The Chancellor, under mounting pressure ahead of Germany's February the 23rd elections, is facing a harsh political landscape. His Social Democratic Party, SPD, has plunged to third place in the polls, trailing behind Friedrich Merz's conservative CDU-CSU. The crisis in Ukraine, compounded by Trump's diplomatic bombshell, has become a defining moment for his leadership. Scholz has long advocated for increased military spending, but his latest push carries an urgent new tone, one laced with deep concern over what he sees as an existential threat to European security.
To put it clearly, a peace must hold in the long term, and it must secure the sovereignty of Ukraine, so a dictated peace will never find our support. We also will not accept any solution that leads to a decoupling of American and European security. Only one person would benefit from that: President Putin.
To be clear, peace must last over the long term. It must secure Ukraine's sovereignty, Scholz emphasized on Thursday. The move to declare a state of emergency has triggered fierce debate. Germany, still haunted by historical sensitivities over emergency powers, has rarely invoked such measures. But Scholz argues that extraordinary times demand extraordinary responses. His critics, however, see political calculations at play. From Moscow, the response was swift. Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, dismissed Scholz's call as little more than electioneering. Writing on his VKontakte page, and as reported by RIA Novosti, Medvedev suggested that Scholz's motivations were twofold: securing financial resources by exploiting European anxiety over Trump's shift in foreign policy, and most crucially, salvaging his party's bleak prospects ahead of the Bundestag elections. The disintegrating Ukraine is entirely secondary here, Medvedev remarked, painting Scholz's move as a desperate political gambit rather than a genuine security measure. With Washington pivoting toward direct talks with the Kremlin, Berlin now finds itself in an uneasy position. The long-standing transatlantic security framework, where Europe and the US moved in lockstep against Russian aggression, appears increasingly fractured.